And then it showed me that Ronnie was live.
Who's Ronnie?
Big Shot.
From Views?
I don't know. It just my phone just all of a sudden started playing some Ronnie video.
Nah, there's nothing here from him on Views.
Bro, I'm telling you that is exactly what my phone did. Are we live right now?
YouTube? Yes, we are.
Okay. Bro, I'm telling you that.
Number 6 in the NFL draft
Okay.
by the Giants, the matter of play.
All right. Let's go back to. All right. All right. Yeah. It even tells me up top that we're live on YouTube. So you know what that tells me, Mo?
Mm-hmm.
We're supposed to get away from Facebook anyway.
Mhm.
They some floozies.
Negative vibes, dog. Negative vibes.
We
Hey,
live. We live. We live.
Listen, Zucker. Listen, you Zucker.
But why you think they booted us? Is because of the views in the back of Mo.
No, I
They
think that,
can't boot us for that.
especially when we own it.
Exactly.
Ours. It's
We own it?
ours. We own it.
Sponsored by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Man, look. Better say that again. I almost threw my pen.
Let's send them an email, man. See if we could join the scouting.
Oh, so Mr. King is on here in rare form today.
What is he
Oh,
saying?
Mr. King, it's gonna be okay, Mr. King. We're gonna talk about them Ravens today and that running back that you got.
Okay, there we go. We got Victor Mino, Dennis King. We got about 5 people watching.
Oh, it's about to get emotional.
So, all right, y'all. We're gonna do this. Let's just get rolling. It's 8:34. Let's just get rolling. Y'all know how we do things. Views from the 22. That's Germ So True. That's Vic Jr. I am Mo Schefter with the Gronkowski jersey to the front, because that's what matters right now. Not what you usually would see on the front. We're gonna put that behind us. Okay. We're gonna look forward with this 2020 vision to 12 plus 87 and these 99 problems. Fellas, real quick around the horn, give me your reaction to the Shaq of the NFL returning for at least one more year, reunited with Tom Brady down there in Tampa. Jerm, we'll start with you.
You know, it's just gonna get emotional, man. That's just really the focal point of the whole conversation. I mean, one of the greatest tight ends to ever play football is coming back to the game.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to play with Tom Brady, and he didn't want to do it under Bill Belichick. So, Bill Belichick supporters, this should get real interesting.
Well, my initial reaction was I felt bad for Otarius Jabari, aka OJ Howard. For those of you that didn't know, that was his name there, Otarius Jabari. But this is a kid that is a pretty darn good blocker in the NFL, right? Like we call him an A++ blocker.
Mm-hmm.
He helps out an offensive line front that was very inconsistent. But there's certain things, it's business is business. Tom Brady's going to bring that kind of influence to Tampa Bay. And if Rob wants to come back and play, let him come back and play.
Absolutely.
It sure proves that he just didn't want to play in the environment he was in. Just simple as that. So they're in Florida now. They'll be ready. They'll be ready. And you could guarantee that they'll be ready.
Yeah, I mean that's truly the first thing that came to my mind is that Gronk wants to be. He didn't want to play for Bill Belichick anymore, and it seems that Tom Brady didn't want to play for Bill Belichick anymore. I don't know what all the reasonings behind that were. Perhaps there was a resistance to the new modern training that Tom Brady was trying to get himself and other players involved with. We know there was resistance there from Belichick. We heard even Brady and Edelman in that Tom versus Tom on Facebook have a little back and forth about it because Edelman was like, Belichick, where there's just pure weight. So we'll have plenty of time in the offseason to talk about it, no doubt. But from the NFL standpoint, you couldn't ask for a better narrative heading into the 2020 season. You got Brady and Gronk on their own with a new team trying to implement a new culture, a winning culture, win some football games, and then you got Belichick, who is, I'm sure, very eager to prove that he was the reason they got to 9 Super Bowl championships. And so I think the three of us here on this panel will all unanimously agree that Belichick's in for a rude awakening, and so are his supporters. But we will leave that for another day when we have plenty more time to talk about it. Let us get started now with the mock draft recap. Fellas, if you could screen share here and show our audience round one real quick, just so they can remember what round one looked like, when with Joe Burrow at the top of the screen, Jace Young, Andrew Thomas went 3rd overall. So we're going to show you that. And while Vic, are you doing that?
No, I don't have it on. Do you have it, Jerm? Did you put it on the Google Docs?
Yeah,
No,
sure.
I have it right here. Don't worry.
Okay.
No need to fear. The germ effect is here.
We didn't see you moving, so you know.
Okay.
Tanya in the building, Storms in the building. Absolutely, Dennis. Brady versus Breeze twice a year. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. That is, the NFL season felt a little empty without Brady versus Manning every year. And to get Brady versus Breeze when both guys have some really good weapons on their roster, it should be 2 phenomenal matchups, or 4 rather phenomenal matchups over these next 2 years. We may even get 5 or 6 if we're lucky enough. But Jeremy, you got it?
It's here. Hold on one second.
We also have Brady versus Rodgers. So
We do get Brady versus Rodgers as well. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So it's a good time, certainly, for the NFL. We just got to hope that there's a season. And as always, we're praying for everybody. We're praying everybody stays home, follow the guidelines, and just stay patient. Pray to however you pray, and just protect your family, protect yourselves, and we all gonna get through this day by day, man. Shout out to the nurses, shout out to the doctors, shout out to the ones in the lab taking shots and blood work and doing all that good stuff. Just shout out to everybody in the medical field on the front line, the custodians. Shout out to the custodians, honestly, because I'm sure they're dealing with all kinds of crap right now as well, and then an overload in those hospitals. So shout out to everybody on the front line, man.
definitely. Grocery workers.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Whole Foods alike. Whole Foods, Giant Eagle, Kroger's, Sprouts, wherever you're working, Publix.
It's coming. My computer's taking a couple seconds for me to get it up.
You must not got that 5G, my brother.
Man, I must not. I mean, I see who got 5G.
What's going on, KG? What's going on, KG? Still mad we never got it in February. I'm sure he's talking about the Drew Brees or even the Manning Brady. I'm not sure which one he's talking about. So I'm talking about Manning Brady or Brady Brees. What's going on, Mr. Pettigrew?
Mo, talk a little bit about what you think is going to happen with this new format because of the virus situation and the draft and stuff like that.
Well, so they're doing they're doing it virtually, which means everything's going to be done on the computer, which means that the way Roger Goodell and his guys are going to conduct this draft is not going to look much different than the way the three of us right here are conducting this draft. I'm sure they got some cooler toys to play with because they got a bigger budget, but we'll get there eventually. But there are some concerns certainly about hacks, and as silly as that sounds, it's not out of the realm of possibilities for somebody to get hacked. And let's say, for example, the Dallas Cowboys with their 17th overall pick draft Tua Tagovailoa. So It's going to present some challenges, certainly. You're wondering how it's going to affect the trades. I think personally, to me, it's going to go one or two ways. It's either going to be a record low in terms of trades and deals or a record high in terms of trades and deals because people are just going to panic because maybe they feel like they didn't do the proper homework on these players. And so they might just fall out, save for next year, save for somebody who's safer, maybe try to get something more of value rather than taking a risk on somebody. So I think in this draft, what you're going to see really more than anything is we're going to separate the guys who know what they're doing from the guys who don't know what they're doing, and that could lead to some very interesting draft picks and to a very unique way where the board might fall in just a bizarre manner. So we'll certainly talk about that more on Thursday when we do our pre-show and even post-show. But I do expect a bizarre draft with all the things that's going on. So we're going to start with Germ right now. Let's just get it rolling. He had the first team he's going to give you a grade on is the Bengals, who obviously took Joe Burrow. So Germ, we'll start with you.
All right. So Cincinnati Bengals GM for the petty draft was Mr. Storms. One of the funniest men we have in our group. Shouts out to him. I got to be honest, man. Joe Burrow was a slam dunk pick. I think he's an A+ player, obviously, in this class. He's a blue chip player. For those who don't know what that means, a blue chip player simply means that he is a player who we believe is transcendent. He's a player that we believe wholeheartedly is going to be that guy moving forward in the NFL. He's going to be a top tier talent. They came back in the second round. He took a linebacker who I introduced to the fellas a couple of months ago named Akeem Davis-Gaither, and he's from a small school in Appalachian State. He's a very, very explosive linebacker, sideline to sideline. He does a very, very good job of being able to get in the midst of some of these blocking schemes and things of that nature and make plays. Also, he does a very, very good job in coverage. And I think he's a really, really good, solid player, especially getting that second round. Then they came back and they addressed another key need with a player who I scouted and I thought was a very interesting player, and he probably can play on some different areas of the offensive line, named Matt Pert, an offensive tackle actually out of UConn. This is a very interesting kid. He's very strong. He has a lot of good footwork that you'll see from him. But most importantly, what I think the thing is about him is even if he doesn't transition to be a left tackle, he still gives you value because he can play guard or right tackle. So for the Bengals draft, as funny as it sounds, the Bengals get an A+ for those 3 picks. Those picks were exceptional. They addressed positions of needs. And most importantly, they got a quarterback for their offense, a quarterback for their defense, and some beef to protect the offense to go along with Jonah Williams and Billy Price, 2 other first-round picks that they have on that offensive line. And this should be an interesting team. Now, if they can get those things together, Burrow with A.J. Green, Tyler Boyd, John Ross, and my guy Joe Mixon, I think that this should be an interesting team. A+ grade for those guys. Let's go to the second pick.
It was Chase Young, the Redskins. So I got the Redskins. We're gonna move on to the Redskins. They took Chase Young in the first round, and then they followed with Van Jefferson. So they only had 2 picks in our mock draft. Now, in real life, in my opinion, I do think they should and will find a way to add another pick within that top 100. And the ideal way to add it is by granting Trent Williams his wish and letting him walk. However, in our mock draft, Joe Maver, he took Chase Young, like I said, defensive end out of Ohio State. Chase Young is a guy that has it all. He's outstanding in all the traits that he possesses. He's got all the tools that you look for from a pass rusher, and he's got a good ball get off, athleticism. Everything about him is just elite. He's a transcendent type of player, and I think he's really going to change lives for Washington over there at depth, at a superstar as well, to that already pretty good defensive line. And Chase is that guy, man. Like I said, he's transcendent. He's the Von Millers and the Khalil Macks and the Myles Garretts of the world type of player. He's going to be playing in the 43. And not that he can't play in the 3-4, not that he can't be an outside linebacker and stand up, but I personally do believe he's much more suited for a 43 defense where he can put his hands in the dirt and go after the quarterback. And I think he will be doing that a lot for the next decade. So for over there in the nation's capital. I know there's talk about them trading out of that pick so they can add more draft capital. I think bottom line, you need to add draft capital. And in my humble opinion, I would rather trade away Trent Williams because of that situation that's going on over there, rather than possibly pass on getting this type of player who is 1000% the best pass rusher in this draft. And it's not even close. Then they took Van Jefferson, wide receiver out of Florida. He's 6'2", roughly 200 pounds. He displays a great ability to get separation downfield. If the QB was better down there in Florida, you would have seen much better production out of that kid for sure, for sure. I think the only thing on the next level, he's got to show that he can manage dealing with more physical corners and more press coverage. But I do like his explosiveness, his body positioning on catches, and you can tell he is on track to be a refined route runner at the next level. So my final thoughts, you get two people who are going to contribute to your football team from day one. You add somebody who can catch the ball, who can do those quick hitch routes, quick curl routes, and get some nice throws, nice completions for Dwayne Haskins. I think you look at the position that he was in, being first and third round only. I think he got two quality players. So for that, for making the best out of his situation, I'm gonna give him an A. Vic, who's the first team you graded?
So the first team I graded, third overall pick, the Detroit Lions. It was basically me and you choosing for them. Some of the needs that I feel like they have is specifically beef, offensive line, defensive line, and some depth in the defensive backfield, the DBs. The first round we took Derek Brown, Auburn defensive tackle. Another very impressive defensive lineman. He's not at that Chase Young level where he can, change a franchise, basically what Chase Young is going to be able to do for the Redskins. But Derek Brown is pretty close. This is a guy that's probably a pure one technique, meaning that he'll line up over the center or the outside shoulder of the center. He's going to take up a lot of blocking and stuff like that. But he's also very disruptive, very strong, knows how to get skinny in the hole. That's the term that is used, to describe pass rushers hitting the gaps and things like that. Derek Brown does an awesome job doing that. He will be a good addition to the defensive line. They also drafted in the third round Marlon Davidson. He was on the opposite side of Derek Brown on the Auburn defensive line. The Auburn constantly is producing some really good defensive players. So these are two guys that they're going to be able to definitely get better, and runs against the run, improve the pass rush and stuff like that. But in the second round, they also added some depth at the DB position. That is with Germs guy, Ashton Davis. This is a very explosive safety, man. This kid flies all over the field.
Yes, he does.
He's got safety ability. He's got some strong safety ability. He can be a steal in the second round. This is a kid that we feel could have had a first round grade, but it's just so much depth in this class. He might be available in the second round. So I gave the Lions, basically Mo and I, a B+, or just because we didn't get anybody on the offensive line with the draft picks. But hey, we got beef on the defensive line. Just pass rush. If you can't protect, what are the three things we talk about? Quarterback, protect the quarterback, bring the quarterback down. So the Lions did that in our mock draft.
Yes, indeed. And I think with the Ashton Davis pick, there was some similarities there to the Patriots safety Devin McCourty, and obviously you see Detroit, they got a lot of former defensive starters from the Patriots on there, including they just added Deron Harmon and Jamie Collins, and so Ashton Davis You know, I guess Matt Patricia's trying to recreate that McCourty during the Ron Harmon combination over there in Detroit. We'll see how it pans out for them. Jerem, I think you're next with the Giants, I do believe.
Yes, I have
Or
the
hey,
New York Football
Get him on
Giants.
the
yes,
screen.
sir.
Get him on the screen. Where is he?
All right, so let's start at the top. We come and we take Isaiah Simmons. Now, Giants, we're gonna be real now. The issue with you guys have been that you guys took a player 2 years ago that you should have never took at number 2 overall. And you still picking in the same top 6 spot for the last 2 years ever since that. So, I mean, as much as this seems like a shot in the dark, it seems like that pick maybe set y'all in this situation to get another good player. So maybe I'll let y'all slide with that, but I haven't figured it out yet. So Isaiah Simmons as your first pick here at number 4. Isaiah Simmons is a player because your linebacking core is shredded. It's finished. It's through. That defensive line with which you have with Tomlinson, with your first round pick last year that you got from Cleveland, Dexter Lawrence, with Leonard Williams as well. That is a very formidable defensive line, especially in a 34 situation.
Mhm.
They're going to hold up a lot of blockers. They're going to do a lot of things. So taking Isaiah Simmons here is a great thing because Isaiah Simmons gives you the guy who can find the football, react, finish. That's what we need our linebackers to do in any defensive system, but especially the 34. He's going to be, as we call it, it's called the hero linebacker, where he's pretty much going to be doing everything. And if there's anybody who can do it, it's him. Great pick there. We come back to next one. This is a player that Mo discovered on his first day scouting with us.
Is that right? Who is it?
And he discovered Cesar,
Oh yeah, baby.
the center from Michigan.
Cesar.
Gotcha.
You gotta add that adobo flavor to the word, Drew.
Yeah.
Gotcha. But Ruiz is an exceptional player. When you watch him, he seems like number one, he's dominant. You can tell when he's on the field. He is the anchor of that offensive line. But the most important thing, he just seems to have that natural nasty streak that you want in the running game. The Giants have no excuse now not to run the football, even more in the A gaps, consider that you got this kid that you're going to plug into your system. And 2 years ago, there was a stat that came out that said that the actual inside handoffs, the dives, the slam plays that people run in the A gaps were the Giants' most successful plays, even with them having a bad offensive line. So that means the center and the guards were still strategically and very, very efficient at getting people out the way for them to be able to get 4+ yards of carry. Why did we go away from that? Because everybody wants to run the outside zone. Sorry, we all don't have the personnel to run it. Run what your offensive line is good at. So this kid, I want to see some trap.
Yes, sir.
Period. I
Yes,
also know
sir.
traps. Somebody getting never mind. So that's good there. And then we took a safety named Terrell Burgess here for the Giants from Utah. Burgess is my favorite player out of that secondary. I think he's the smartest one out of the bunch. But the most important thing is he's a very unique athlete. He's about 200 pounds. He gave us a 4.4 and some change at the combine. And most importantly, he's going to be a guy who can play some strong and he's going to be able to play some free. So at that particular point, you get a guy that you can put next to Jabril Peppers, who is a better guy in space, because that's the key. He's better in space. He will be able to cover some tight ends and things of that nature. He will be able to cover some running backs out of the backfield. So Giants, today I give you an A-. I think overall, the only thing that I could ask that you do different is maybe you take the franchise left tackle. That's the only thing I can ask for you to do different, because Nate Solder is not the answer at left tackle. And we can move on to the number 5 pick, Mr. Vic.
No, I think I got it next, right?
Got you,
We go
Vic.
Vic. Yeah, Vic.
I got you, big shot. We're going to talk that line talk.
So going up next is Vic, and I think the second team you had, Vic, was the Dolphins.
Yes, sir. Dolphins, Colton Ferrari. Is that how do we say his last name, bro?
It's
Colton.
Ferrari. It's Ferrari, bro. It's
Okay,
Ferrari.
okay, cool. Colton and Ty. I mean, I never seen a Dolphin fans in real life. They probably been the closest.
That's because you called them gay sharks before. Remember
And
that?
shout out to Miami, man. Now, Miami is great, man. I've been down to Miami. A lot of Dolphins fans there. They actually support the team.
They
Heavy
do.
Mo can attest to that. But Colton and Ty, bro, I had to give these dudes straight up an A plus before I even start. An A plus. Their needs are everywhere. They need a quarterback. They need offensive line. They need wide receiver help. Even they could keep up the defensive line as well. But hey, I mean, they got an A plus because they have a lot of picks. But not only they had a lot of picks, they used them very well as far as we see it. Andrew Thomas, the left tackle, was the first guy that they picked, 5th overall. Like Germ said, franchise left tackle right there. The Giants decided to pass up on him. Dolphins took him. They didn't, get the quarterback like they're saying the Dolphins might do in this draft, and that's Tua. But they took Andrew Thomas. This dude is probably is the best pure left tackle in this class. The dude's got agility. The dude's got a quick pass set. He's got quick hands. Loves to combat. He's not the strongest in this class, but he's very, very close to that. So you got yourself a franchise left tackle there. They didn't panic, and with the 18th pick, they took Justin Herbert, who fell all the way to 18. That might not happen in the real draft, but for the mock draft here, they took Justin Herbert. This is a quarterback that I love. I think he's got a very good arm. He's probably got the best pure arm strength in this class. He's got some accuracy and good, especially in between the numbers. He needs to perfect the outside numbers, which at times we do see some passes there, but that could be some help at the receiving option. In the second round, they took Xavier McKinney, safety. I mean, this kid is a tremendous player. We're talking about Malcolm Jenkins comparison for me. They took Clyde Edwards-Helaire, the running back for LSU. This kid, I mean, I love this kid's speed. He is a small running back, but he's got some good pass catching ability. He's got some really good running back instincts. He works very well in the outside zone that Miami likes to play deploy, as well as some of the gap schemes that they deploy as well. They also continue to help their beef in the 3rd round by getting the center out of Wisconsin, Tyler Badaz. Did anybody find how to pronounce his last name? Or
Badaz.
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 That one is, I'm going to leave it up to the announcers in the NFL to do that. But he is the center out of Wisconsin. Wisconsin is constantly producing some good interior linemen, bro. Center, guard, whatever it is.
Yes.
Left tackle as well. Left tackle, right tackle.
Right. The kid does have some weaknesses to me. He does have issues blocking guys that cross him on slants and things like that. But he is good out in space whenever he has to get to the second level. So for him to get it drafted in the 3rd round, that's some good value there. So, I mean, I'm giving those guys A plus. Again, there is some Tua rumors. There's been rumors that they said they don't even have him on the board. And then now there's rumors saying that they will take Tua. So it's going to be interesting to see what it is. But I'm giving my guys an A plus here for views, man. So far, these GMs are incredible in the Views Network.
They are. They most definitely are. I mean, again, I think we said this
it's gonna get bad
numerous times. They did a great job. Germ just feels like being a bully some nights. But I do think it was a great draft overall. Moving on next to the Chargers. And the GM for the Chargers was none other than Tanya Rogers. She stepped in, even though she loves her Steelers, and she said that she would take another team, and she took another team, and by golly, she did a great job. In the 1st round, as a shocker to everybody, she took quarterback Jordan Love out of Utah State. And then she followed up by taking Shane Lemieux, the guard out of Oregon. And then in the 3rd round, she took A.J. Terrell, the cornerback out of Clemson. Now, for Jordan Love, look, the Jordan Love to Patrick Mahomes comparison, it's real. It's valid. but we have to be cautious with it. As far as his arm, fundamentals, ability to throw from multiple platforms, I mean, the ceiling is truly the roof for this kid. He can see the field and he can go through his progressions. The only issue is sometimes you just don't know where he's throwing it or why he even decided to throw it where he threw it. It's like he didn't even see the defenders. He went from he had, what was it, 20 touchdowns and 17 interceptions last year. The year prior, he had 32 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. So that is a huge margin, huge difference. And for him to have it in his last year of college is not a good look. However, all you need from this kid is some consistency and the right grooming, and he is 100% a franchise quarterback. I think, again, in my opinion, I think there are only 3 franchise quarterbacks in this draft: Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, and this kid, Jordan Love. And Tanya, Herbert was on the board, but even her guy Tua, and she's a Crimson Tide fan, even her boy Tua was on the board, but she was objective about it, and she wanted Jordan Love, and I thought it was a great pick. And then you take a quarterback. Well, what does a quarterback need? Quarterback needs beef. She took a beef. This was a guy that me and Jerm came across probably the last day we were putting together the board. So we already had about 150 to 175 names. And then we came across this kid. And we were just so taken aback, mainly because we were watching a bunch of scrubs leading from the night before. We went through about 8 hours of pure Brillo pad tape. And then we came across this kid, and it was just a breath of fresh air. You know, it was like an inhaler. Just, we good to go. This kid, and he just kept rising up and rising up and rising up on board. I don't want to be too harsh. So the best way I could say it about this kid, as a run blocker, he's a first-round grade. As a pass blocker, he's probably a third-round grade. Gets a little too wide sometimes. Hands maybe go a little outside or whatnot. But I think he's got all the tools and all the makings to be an all-pro guard at the next level. And so again, another beautiful pick. And then she took AJ Terrell. And I'm just going to be honest with you about AJ Terrell. I'm not optimistic about most of these corners. I'm optimistic about CJ Henderson, and I'm optimistic about AJ Terrell. AJ Terrell, he's got all the tools, and most importantly, everything from the hips down moves fluidly. And so I think you get him there, you get him in a position where they mix in corner, they mix in man, they mix in zone, they do some cover 3 pattern reading, which is something he can be very, very good at. So I think not only did she pick good guys, not only did she find value, she also got some guys who are a fit for what this team is trying to do heading into the direction and the leadership of Anthony Lynn. So Tanya, rookie GM, this will officially mark her second year in views in about 3 or 4 months, but she is certainly finishing her rookie season in views off strong. She gets an A+ from me.
Look. Okay, go ahead.
What's the name of the guard?
Hey, so y'all know,
Was it Lemieux?
Shane Lemieux, 6'4", 316. And AJ Terrell is 6'1", 190.
Give her a round of applause, man. That Jordan Love it's a risky pick.
hey man, those are the picks that make championships.
Yeah, it's a boomer bust situation, but hey, if he turns out close to any Pat Mahomes comparisons, they got themselves a darn good player. He's gonna have the receivers, the weapons to basically help him in San Diego or Los Angeles. So let's see how that goes.
I mean, we got a quarterback. Jerm, give us your take on Jordan Love.
To be honest with you, I think the Chargers are a great fit because they also have a receiving back and a tight end to help. Those are the 2 most important positions in your passing game. Your running back out of the backfield and your tight end, because they're the closest to the quarterback, and those are the guys that are the hardest for the defense to account for. So you give him those 2 chess pieces, I think he'll be fine. I think those are the 2 positions that we got to implement into some of these other offenses. We've seen Brady be able to use it, and Brady be able to master using tight ends and running backs. And that's how he manipulated the NFL for 20 years now, pretty much. When you gave him outside guys, he used them. But this is an important thing, man. I like Jordan Love a lot more than these guys do, and to a certain extent, because I think he has that A plus. The A plus is written all over him. It's just mentally, does he have the mental ability that we talk about every day amongst ourselves? The mentality of a football player has to be a certain way. Can he throw an interception and come back and lead the team down the field to get a touchdown to win the game? Is that something that he can do? And I think he can.
Mm-hmm.
So next, who's next?
So we're gonna move on. Next is so we're gonna do a little. I got it. Don't worry. We're gonna go to Vic now and let him give us his grades on the Cardinals, and then we're gonna go move to you to give us your grade on the Jets. While I go change out of my attire, put on the official Views from the 22 uniform, because it is draft season, and in draft season it's beef season. So go ahead, Vic, with the Cardinals.
He looking like the WWE leaving. Look at his game chair, guys. Yeah, man. The Arizona Cardinals, man. Tyrell Love, shout out to Love, man. He's a big supporter of our movement as well. Man, look, Jerm, looking at the Cardinals roster, bro, they don't have a bad roster.
Nope.
They got the quarterback of the future. They got some receivers now. They got a decent running backfield there. So the only thing they got some weaknesses is the offensive line. Offensively, at least, they need some beef. Jedrick Willis, man. I mean, this kid is an impressive technician. He is the right tackle for Alabama. There is word that some teams are looking at him as a possible left tackle. We sort of disagree with it just because he doesn't have the length we look for at left tackle. He doesn't have that quick-footedness, but it just how technically sound he is. He's got a game plan. He looks like he studies the tape on each defensive end he's going to go up against. The kid is an unbelievable player. I would leave him at right tackle. We think he can also play some guard. So Jedrick Willis, an impressive offensive lineman pick there for the Cardinals. And then they also took in the third round Justin Madubik. These last names this year are killing me, man. But that's another kid that they can add to the defensive line. They don't have a second round pick, so I gave them a B+. Again, good roster. They're able to add some beef in the offensive line, some beef on the defensive line in terms of depth with Justin, who does have some upside. So the Cardinals, Tyrell Love, you get a B+, brother.
So Germ, move on to the Jets now.
Well, the New York Jets. First thing, you took Jerry Jeudy. I'm okay with you taking Jerry Jeudy. I still think overall, though, what people need to understand is you still don't got a quarterback, Chief. You still don't got a quarterback, Chief.
What you mean?
Sam Arnold.
You know what? Just this is your assessment. I'm gonna let you have it. We're gonna leave that for a different day.
Sam Arno. Anyway, so the principle of all of this, though, Jerry Jeudy, I think we all agree that it was him and CeeDee Lamb. It was 1A and 1B with those two players. But I think the most outstanding part of this is that you give the Jets a guy who potentially has some X receiver potential. And me and Vic have really, really had an extensive talk about that, because I'm not too fond of a lot of these guys going in the upper echelon of the first round, especially the top 15, if they don't have X receiver potential. Because my X receiver is a guy who's going to be on the field. He's going to see a lot of my press coverage. He's going to be the guy that dictates a lot of coverage for my team. I believe that Jerry can really make some things happen for another team here. So I think that was a pretty good pick for them there. The Jets have invested a lot of capital into the offensive line this offseason, so we're not going to too much worry about that. So then they come back in the next round and they grab Alex Taylor, a tackle from a smaller school. That particular player is not bad. The issue is I think we drafted too early. I think we could have gotten better value in that situation in the second round, considering moving forward, as Mo is so eloquently sharing the screen here, Considering at this stage in the draft, we still could have gotten some other players. We could have filled some other needs. So I'm gonna give you an example. The safeties for the Jets are fine. The corners, they're fine as well, but you can always add good depth there considering the division that you play in. So in this situation, they could have added Jeff Gladney. He may have been a better value pick there in that situation. You could have also looked into adding another skill position player. You could have added Clyde Edwards-Helaire or anything of that nature. So I think the board dictated that you could have gotten this player later, and you could have done a little bit better on that end of it. So on that potential pick, it's like, yeah, okay. So then we come back and we get a pass rusher. We get Terrell Lewis from Alabama. Now, what I like about him is I think he has the natural ability to be a consistent edge guy in a 34 defense. Now, my issue again, maybe we drafted him in the right time, but again, is this a need of the Jets? Is the pass rush something that we worry about with the Jets? Maybe, maybe not. And then after that, we took Antonio Gandy Golden, the wide receiver from I forget what school it is, a smaller school. It's somewhere over here in my notes. But the thing with him is he's a big receiver. He can improve a lot as a route runner. But with you not having Robbie Gould come back, did Robbie decide he was coming back? Did Anderson decide he was going back to the Jets, or did he sign somewhere else?
I think he signed somewhere else.
Okay. So he can fill that role and that void for you, I believe, if Robbie's not there, Robbie Anderson.
He's with the Panthers now.
Okay. So he can fill that void there. So you got two receivers to replace one, and you got a tackle to put in your rotation, and you got an outside edge rusher, which is pretty good. So overall, it wasn't great. It wasn't terrible. I gave you a B- on your grade. Just simply because I think we had some better value that we could have obtained with some of these picks in certain situations. Value is the key thing in the draft in these situations, because we got to draft the best talent for our football team. And this is also a year that I kind of think, and I know you get you guys in before we go to the next pick. I wouldn't have paid all of that money to all of these other journeyman linemen this year. I would have tried to draft some guys because we get a better deal on some of the guys we can draft, considering we can bring them up in our system, opposed to guys that we don't know if they're going to fit what we want to do.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
go ahead.
Again, that's something that we'll talk about more during our actual draft show. But we'll get to that, because they did make some moves that were perhaps questionable, but somewhat necessary. Next team we got is the Carolina Panthers. And drafting for the Carolina Panthers was the one, the only Germ So True. Listen, we call him Mr. Nasty. Well, he lived up to it with what he drafted for the Carolina Panthers, taking Mekhi Becton in the first round and then Netane Muti in the second round. That's a tackle and then a guard. And I'm going to just say this, and I'm sure you're going to start to see Vic nod his head. These are probably the two nastiest offensive linemen in this draft. These guys, they're going to play through the whistle. They're going to grab you by your neck. They're going to push you up against the wall, and they're going to demand your lunch money. I mean, that's just the type of aggression that these guys come with. I think with Mekhi, he's 6'7", 369 pounds. He is a spectacle of a human being to lay your eyes upon. I can't even imagine how he would look like in person. But just watching him on YouTube, whether it's on my laptop, my iPad, or even my phone on a 4-inch screen, the mother looks big. That's all I could tell you. He's got some technique issues that he's going to have to get better. But with coaching, it shouldn't be an issue, considering he can move pretty well with those feet. And Muti, as we said, he's just nasty. I mean, the Panthers, they might end up having one of the nastiest, if not the nastiest, offensive lines in the league within these next 2 to 3 years. And certainly when you pay your running back $16 million, you better hope you maximize the value out of your beef one way or another. So if they go with Becton and UT and you get them for 5 years on a rookie contract, well, then guess what? By the time it comes time to pay them, Christian McCaffrey would already be playing for another team 2 years ago. So that's a great way to sort of neutralize the cap hit of a running back getting paid $16 million. And then in the third round, they took Willie Gay. They had to come out of this draft with a linebacker at some point, in my opinion, to replace Luke Kuechly, and obviously Thomas Davis, who's been gone for 2 years now, to get somebody to run with Shaq Thompson under Matt Rule over there in Carolina. And Willie's a guy, he can tackle and he can run. And that, if you can tackle and if you can run, you're gonna have a job in the NFL as a linebacker or a strong safety. But his overall football skills and his instincts needs to get better. But regardless, it's a good value pick, it's a good depth pick, and it's somebody who could potentially be your staple, the guy with their green helmet on the back of his head in about 2 to 3 years. And that certainly is valuable. So Germ, sometimes you don't want to elevate his ego too much, but he gets an A+ out of me because he got some quality beef, and then he added some depth to a position of need to avoid that's definitely going to be felt with Luke Kuechly retiring. Next up, we are going to go to Vic and give us your draft report of the Cleveland Browns. And the GMs of the Cleveland Browns was Robert D. Cobb from INSC. Shout out to Robert Cobb, and also Aaron Bullard, a new member, and as well Germ So True, the longtime resident expert, let's just call him, on the Cleveland Browns. So Vic, give us your report card there.
Yeah, man, the Browns, again, another team that is in need of some beef. That's the number one need that I saw for them, offensive line. So in the first round, they took Tristan Wirfs. This is another solid offensive lineman in the first round, getting the first round grade from us and a lot of other people. This is a kid that played right tackle for Iowa, but we see that he can. We feel like he can dominate as a guard more in the NFL. So the Browns could basically move him, whether it's a left guard, or right tackle. They'll have somebody that will be able to play all three of those positions very well. This is a strong kid, just like Mo just spoke about with Mekhi Becton and Netane Muti. This kid knows how to use his body weight very well, knows how to use his strength. He can wipe a whole line whenever they're doing any inside or outside zone, and the running back is running some counters and things like that. This kid can definitely take out a couple guys with him. In the second round, they took Ross Blacklock. This is a guy that we saw as well together, defensive lineman for TCU. This kid is a good, solid one technique. He can play some three technique. He does have some agility and quickness to provide a pass rush, whether it's the A gap or in the B gap. We really like that kid. We gave him a second round grade. And then our third round, in the third round, they took Devin Duvernay. Is that how you say his last name?
Yes, it is.
Duvernay, Texas wide receiver. Germ was throwing this kid's name at me for about a month before I was able to get to him. When I got to him, pretty impressive receiver.
Mm-hmm.
There's a very good chance that he gets taken in the second round. But here the Browns and the GMs for the Browns took him in the third round. This kid is pretty impressive. He's got like a running back type of body. Germ knows how I feel about these running back looking receivers, but this kid can definitely play outside the numbers. He can play some Z, which is off the line of scrimmage in the NFL. He has some speed to get up the field, but not only that, he has those little techniques that you need to improve. But he's very good at route running, beating people deep. That was an impressive player. Texas used him all over the field. So the Browns got themselves 3 solid picks. I gave them A- for their draft.
Real quick, just to say this about Duvernay as well. The most interesting part of this is he was third in the nation with 106 catches last year. And some of the competition that he faced, you could tell that they were looking for him. And he still had games like against LSU where he had 9-10 catches. So that is a very intriguing player. And he's somebody that another GM should have took that I got for y'all later.
He gave that man Grant Delpit safety out of LSU some issues in that game, so
Mhm.
he kind of gave him.
Uh, So the next team on the list is the Las Vegas Raiders. Drafting for the Raiders was Victor Mino, Raktiv Manu, Omen Ratkiv, and Raktiv Mainu. In case anyone are new to this group, that is actually the same person. And also, that is all one person. All 4 names is one person. And also, April Omar was also part of this draft crew. Jerm, give us your report card on the Las Vegas Raiders.
First pick, we took Henry Ruggs. I don't like that pick for y'all. 2 reasons. We don't need speed. We do not need more speed. We need players. Derek Carr can barely throw to some of the players that he has now that don't have speed. So the one thing that we can't do is we can't keep putting him in these situations where he got to now that deep ball accuracy, which is the lowest percentage throw of all the throws, is the ball past about 25 yards. Now we're asking him to hit that throw consistently. I'm not so sure that that's the way that we want to go. We need guys with big catch radiuses. Tyrell Williams has had a terrible time staying healthy in the NFL. I would have rather seen Jerry Jeudy because he's the best X receiver in his class. He may turn out to be DeAndre Hopkins Jr. in the next 5 years. We just don't know. But the body mannerisms and everything else that he has, they say a lot of DeAndre Hopkins type of things. So with that pick, I'm like, but you do get a guy that you can use. Now, here's the positives. You get a guy that you can use. He can play outside the numbers a little bit. We do see that. He is a solid route runner. And if you do keep Tyrell Williams healthy, this makes a little bit more sense. And I think the fellows will all agree, Tyrell is an X when he's on the field.
Mm-hmm.
But, when he's not on the field, you don't have an X. And that's just kind of how it goes. The next pick, we took Pat Queen out of LSU. I am not upset with that pick. The only thing I want to say is if Chris Littleton is who you think he is and he's your inside linebacker, that means you keep bodies off Pat Queen, you're going to get a tackle machine. I ain't mean to rhyme, but it just happens from time to time because, we just great out here. Next pick, we get Cam Akers. Now, Raiders contingency. We have no business taking a slow-footed player like Cam Akers in this situation when we got that bowling ball, that specimen, that great player that you just took last year named Joshua Jacobs. That dude, I don't need to see another running back in that room that's not going to catch the ball out the backfield and give him a rest for 2 plays. Cam Akers is a decent player for the value that you got him. I'm okay with that. I'm just not a big fan of Cam Akers. I think he's an average player across the board. And Vic and Mo will both attest to this. When we see an average player on film in college, we don't really think much of them at the next level at their positions because they don't have much value for some of these teams that already have elite players. So I think you just fill in the draft slot when you draft them sometimes.
I mean,
go ahead.
If there's certain things that just appears to be average, like whatever production, for example, then yeah, you're right. I just think for a lot of these players and any young players coming in that want to improve their draft stock, the number one thing is fundamentals. You show that you are fundamentally sound, that you understand the game. That alone is not only going to elevate your draft stock, it's going to help you play the game better because you can see the game better. And vision is very important, especially when it comes to running back. Believe it or not, vision is a skill when it comes to the running back position. And that is why you can't just plug any running back and run them behind a good offensive line, especially if it's a zone scheme. But we'll leave that for a whole different day.
Mo, can you do me a favor and screen share for us real quick the 3rd round so I can talk about this next player? Joshua, I believe his last name is Unch. He's a defensive end from Michigan, I believe. Is that correct? Was that where he was from?
Yes, Joshua Uch.
Okay, just making sure. The thing that I do not like about this Josh Unch pick is if we look where we drafted him here, he's right there, 17. Thanks, Mo. This particular player, the only reason why I don't like this pick here is because he's a defensive end. What the Raiders in particular would have did better doing here in this situation is you would have done a better or a better thing for yourself taking another player in this situation. So I'm gonna give you an example of a guy that you could have used. You could have took Nick Harris. You have Rod, you got Hudson who's getting a little older. Get yourself an offensive lineman just in case. Because some of these older guys, I think me and Mo, we talk about this with the Raiders offensive line. Some of their offensive line has regressed since the year that they were sixth in rushing and sixth in passing, when they had a very, very potent offense and a very, very potent defense in the certain rights, with Khalil Mack being ahead of that. So with this kid, I do think Max Williams and Cleveland Farrell are a lot better players. If you're just putting a guy in your rotation, sure, but I think we could have got some better players than this particular player in this spot. I do think you can always use a corner because you've been getting rid of a lot of your players there, but we'll leave that where that is. Besides that, Harrison Bryant. Harrison Bryant is a player who me and Mo have argued about for about 3 weeks. But we didn't argue about it in a negative way. We argued about it because we said I thought he had some limitations. And, Mo, he's been driving around down there by FAU and stuff like that. He's been riding around. He's been getting it. He's been riding around. He's been getting it. So he was telling me about the player and everything else like that. So we scouted him. And he is a joker tight end. But he does have some upside in some other areas. So getting a player like that to pair him with Darren Waller, I think is an excellent combination to you adding Henry Ruggs. So now those two picks, when we marry them, they actually look a little better because you got a good guy who can play inside the numbers and a good guy who can play outside the numbers. So now I can deal with that Henry Ruggs pick a little bit better. And I'm going to marry those two picks together. I'm going to say Pat Queen is a good pick as well. So if we just got those 3 picks, I would have gave y'all an A. But this Cam Akers thing, you get at least a B. But then you took another play, you get a B minus. I'm gonna be nice, you get a B minus. Let's focus next time, Raiders contingency. Let's get a little bit better value with some of our players because we got some good players and talented drafts like this where we can fill some holes. And with 5 picks that you guys had, those 5 picks could have been 2 corners in that situation that could have contributed to your football team and really helped John Abram in the back end because he needs a little help back there. Because if not, he's gonna be out with on a stretcher.
Yeah,
for making all them tackles.
I mean, they did invest in their secondary with some cornerbacks and spending some money on them in the offseason. But I certainly understand the B- grade just because, like you said, they could have gotten a little more value. So what we're gonna do now is something a little different. We're gonna go ahead and we are going to drive through the AFC South. So Vic had the Colts, I had the Titans, and Jerem, you had the Texans and the Jaguars. Vic, we're gonna start with you, brother. Give me your draft report card of the Indianapolis Colts and what they did, and then I'll do the Titans, and then we'll let Jerem finish it off with the Texans and the Jaguars.
Yeah, with the Colts, man. Shout out to Daniel Pettigrew, right? Is he? That's how you pronounce his last name.
Yeah, so it's Daniel Pettigrew and Daniel Dunn.
Oh, okay, and Dunn. Shout out to them guys, man. They supported the movement too. The needs that I wrote down for them: defensive line, DBs, wide receivers. But they used their first round pick. They used it to get DeForest Buckner, one of the defensive linemen for that great 49ers pass rush last season. He should improve that. He should improve that defensive line both in the passing and run defense immensely. That was a great pick for them. I mean, they probably couldn't find anybody with more value there in the first round anyway. Mm-hmm. So the second round, they got Michael Pittman, receiver out of USC. This is another one of Jerem's favorite guys, and I can see why. This kid, solid X-receiver, plays outside the numbers. He didn't move much along their alignment and stuff like that. He stayed on the left side, stayed at the split end X-receiver position, but did a good job route running, did a good job with catching in traffic, did a good job getting open in space and stuff like that. He's great in the red zone. So he might be a very solid second round pick. He might be one of those top receivers in this class as well. And in the third round, they got Jake Fromm, So, Jake might not fall that far, but it's also a possibility. There's some things that teams are not liking about him, like his arm strength that isn't consistent. Sometimes he does have issues going through his progressions. I think is inconsistent. There's times where he does show a good job going through his progressions. It seems like at times he's just more prepared in some games than others. Jake Fromm might be an excellent guy to be able to sit behind Phillip Rivers for a couple years and learn there. So I gave the Colts contingency as B minus.
So as far as the Titans are concerned, they drafted Jonathan Taylor in the first round, Neville Gallimore, defensive tackle in the second round, and then Ezra Cleveland, a tackle in the third round. And all three of those guys, if you look across the different boards, be it the Draft Network, be it PFF, be it Walter Football, ESPN, Bleacher Report, CBS, all three of these guys, you will find one or two of these people have these guys in the first round. So it's really simple for me. You get three guys who are all first round caliber. I mean, the Titans, we say this every year about the Tennessee Titans war room. It is usually, and it is always, among the most organized, if not the most organized, of all the war rooms that we have. And the past few years, they have been busy during our mock drafts. This year, not so much, but they knocked it out of the park because they took basically the best player available. And I was talking to Andrew Hughes and Gerard Allegau during the draft, and after they picked Ezra, I told him, I said, man, sometimes the easiest choice is the best choice. And that's what happened here for them. I mean, Jonathan Taylor, he's a guy they can get in. He can take some reps with Derrick Henry, and he could be somebody that they can groom so that they don't have to sign Derrick Henry to a long-term extension and invest in $16 to $18 million in a running back that relies on having blocks set up before he can get to the next level. It's a good job of, once again, maximizing value. You are going to hear us talk about value a lot. And so real simple for the Titans, they get an A+ from me as well. Simply, again, because they 100% maximize their value and got three players who are more than likely would all be starting for them by year 2, year 3 as productive and significant starters. Germ, give me your report card on the Texans and the Jaguars.
Real quick,
All right, go ahead.
Pause real quick, Mo. Daniel said that we missed their second rounder, the tight end. I missed the second round tight end.
They took they took your boy Albert O.
Okay.
They took your boy Albert O. Give us your thoughts on him.
My fault. Shout out to them on that, man. I actually, from a B-, I'll give him a B+ for that. That's a tight end that me and Germ liked. We gave him like a second and third round. We gave him a second and third round grade. I think the kid is going to be an excellent blocker for them, but he's also a big body tight end. He gets upfield very well, and he also is a big red zone threat. A lot of his catches you will see in college was in the red zone. Good body control, good catching traffic, strong hands when they try to knock down the ball from when he catches it. So Albert O, man, I think that's a solid tight end. It's going to improve their blocking even more as well. So Albert O, I don't know what Germ want to throw on that. My fault for missing that player though.
No, you good, bro. You good. Germ, go ahead now with the Jaguars and the Texans.
So now we got Jaguars and Texans. We can run through these quickly. Texans, we can say more about the Texans war room than we can say about a lot of them. Vic, my guy Vic, drafted for them. He stole my thunder both times, and I'm going to hit him in his nose. But what he did was, we here at Views do not like to condone violence, so we do not condone violence here at Views. So he took Adam Troutman from as tight end from Dayton. I love this player so much because he's such a smooth athlete. He's one of those players that you see he wants to block. He wants to be a part of a winning organization, a winning football culture. And those are things that are vitally important. And for the Texans, when you take Nuke out of the equation and you add more guys that are speed, you need somebody over the middle who's going to be consistent. This is the best tight end that Deshaun Watson has ever played with. He will be the most skilled tight end he's played with, and all those other things. And the next thing he did was he came back and he got guard Robert Hunt. Listen, I like Robert Hunt because we got to protect Mr. Willie Beeman, because otherwise he won't be so steaming. It's just all bad if you don't protect Deshaun Watson. The Ravens took them folks to the woodshed last year, and they was whooping their ass last year, man. That's the only way to say it. That was whooping their. I mean, it was bad. He got sacked 6 times in 2 quarters. When did you decide you wanted to block? Did somebody pinch somebody? Something? All right, we can't do that no more. Those 2 picks alone, considering the fact that we did trade DeAndre Hopkins away. I'm sorry, Texan. I'm sorry, Vic. I got to do this to you. The only reason why you don't get an A is because Bill O'Brien's dumb ass didn't get Deshaun Watson, didn't get Nuke a first-round pick.
Yeah.
Like, I got to penalize you for penalizing his dumb ass. Like, it just – so, but otherwise, those were 2 solid picks. I'll even be nice. Give him a B+.
Hey, if there's 2 guys –
He got so you get a B+.
There's 2 guys that I want sniped down in Texas, and that's Jerry Jones and Bill O'Brien. So, but nah, man. Listen, Troutman and Robert Hunt. You know, I made the best of what we had in terms of our draft capital. These guys are gonna just help protect Deshaun Watson, whether it's Troutman going out and catching some passes or even blocking. This kid can definitely help, and Robert Hunt. Definitely, like Jerm said, a great guard that they'll be able to use there. So again, 2 blockers there that help it both in run against the running game and also in the passing game for the Texans.
All right, next we got Jacksonville Jaguars. Real quick, Von Kinlaw, he's an A+ player. You almost got an A+ just because you drafted one of my guys. Jaguars, I'm gonna be honest with you, he's filthy. Then we come back with C.J. Henderson, probably the corner with the most upside in this draft. He probably has the most upside. He has the trail speed, meaning if you beat him, he can catch up to the play. He has a pretty solid frame. He's still about 6 feet, 200 pounds. He does have pretty good feet. He has better feet than Jeff Okudah. That's not a knock to Jeff and say he's terrible. It's just I think CJ is a little bit better. So those are your first picks. So we replace, or we're trying to replace Mr. Ramsey. And we are putting a 3-tech guy down here on our defensive line to help us generate some pressure to bring back a Calais Campbell type of effect. So you got younger and you just saved some money right there. Beautiful. You almost got an A. Isaiah Wilson. Here's the issue with Isaiah Wilson. Isaiah Wilson in that particular spot, I just don't like him more than some of the players we may have been able to take. I think we have a right tackle already. We just have him in the wrong spot. And his name is what's the kid's name from Alabama last year, a couple years ago? It's Cameron
Robinson.
Cam Robinson, and me and Vic talked about this extensively then. Cam Robinson has all of the makeup for a great right tackle. I don't think there's any question that he can dominate in the run game. The issue with Cam is he's not good on some of those pass sets. And we've seen him not really progress as he's gotten better and as he's grown in the NFL. So we draft the guy who we're going to strictly put on the right side, and that's fine. But in this particular situation, we may have been able to get an Ezra Cleveland and move him over. And that would have solidified your bookends on your offensive line. So then we go to the next pick and we take Cole Kmet from Notre Dame. The issue with Cole is I don't like Cole because I don't think he's fast enough. I think he's a player who's going to be reverted to a Mercedes Lewis type of a role. And a Mercedes Lewis type of a role is he's going to be good at blocking and maybe on some misdirections. He can get some easy yardage, but that's about it. Long story short, we got 2 out of 4 perfect. So I'm going to give you guys a B. I'm not upset with the players. I just think we could have got better value again. You guys are doing better than some of these GMs are doing still, because I got to be honest with y'all. I am not impressed with some of these other things, but we're going to get real emotional coming up. Real emotional.
So we're going to move on now. And what we're going to do is here, before Jerm makes it all emotional, we're going to do the rest of the NFC West. And that will be leave it up to me and Vic. Vic, you got the 49ers. I had the Seahawks. and the Rams. We'll start with the Seahawks. They took Yatur Gross Matos in the first round, a defensive end out of Penn State. And then they took Zach Moss. And then they took Jeff Gladney in the second round. I mean, in the third round. And then in the third round pick, they took Anthony Gordon. Gross Matos, edge out of Penn State. He's 6'5", 266. His arms as a whole, in terms of length and in terms of his hands and power, that is a tool, that is an asset, that is a valuable weapon that will help him get by on the next level. The only thing missing, really, you could say from his tape is just consistency from a rep to rep standpoint. But other than that, this guy is, again, clearly the second best pass rusher on the edge in this draft. And so I think for the Seahawks, you get Clowney, you build that same identity with all those pass rushers you had there. That's why they took Gladney in the third round. Gladney, again, I'm skeptical about all these cornerbacks, but the one thing I do that does give me optimism is when they go to a scheme that fits what they do. And Gladney is a Pete Carroll type of corner. Why? He's tall, he's instinctual, and he can play some pattern read and cover 3 type stuff. And perhaps if anybody is going to maximize the absolute best out of this kid, it will be Pete Carroll. They took Zach Moss, running back out of Utah. He's 5'10", 222. He is a downfield runner as downfield runner comes. Personally, in my opinion, I think he's more suited for a gap scheme than a zone. Not to say that he won't do well in a zone, but I do think he's more fit for a gap scheme. He brings the boom. He's not the easiest guy to bring down. He moves pretty well. He's not gonna do spin moves and jukes or whatnot. But for a big man, like, you remember how like LeGarrette Blount had that deceptive elusiveness to him somehow, some way.
They don't give you much to hit. They just don't give you much to hit.
Even though there is a lot there to hit. But you know, I think this kid could be one of the best pure running backs in this draft. And for a team that lost all 3 of their running backs and had to get Marshawn Lynch off the couch in week 17 of the NFL season, I can't blame them for taking a running back they perceive is dependable and durable. And as for the Anthony Gordon pick, shout out to AJ Myers. He is somebody that does not hide or shy away from his biasness when his biasness gleams. And hey, if y'all ain't noticed by now, the background right here, that is actually CenturyLink Field for the Views from the 22 logo. So shout out to AJ Myers and even Sherry Trotter, both Seahawks fans. But this was the Anthony Gordon was definitely a biased pick. He loves Anthony Gordon. He's from the area. But I do think this is a clearly a purely depth pick. Same with the Zach Moss pick. I hate to do this because my grade doesn't necessarily reflect what's going on, Nene.
Nephew, what's going on?
Your mic is muted, Vic. Okay, I think you're good now. But yeah, I would give the Seahawks a B+. Nene.
He just wants to be on YouTube.
Give your dad a grade for how he's doing on YouTube. You give him an A, a B, a C.
And
I just put him on the spot.
I don't know how.
Now I mean to put you on the spot, Nene.
One day we'll get him on YouTube.
Yeah. So I'm gonna give the Seahawks a B+, simply because it's just, again, there's some depth guys there, but outside, what's that?
Exactly. I agree with you.
Yeah.
You can't get worse when you just simply you already a couple healthy players away from being right in a good spot. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Got another corner to help you. Gladney can still play some man coverage sometimes and help. And Shaquille Griffin, as good as a player as he is, he can play zone and he can play some man. So you get the right players in that scheme, man. I think that opens up some things for them. And I think overall, that's good depth picks right there, man. Good depth picks. Mr. 1 Cent is my guy. Y'all know how I feel about Mr. 1 Cent. I wish he could stay healthy. If he stays healthy, him and Moss could be a nice 1-2 combination. You know, so moving forward, I agree with your grade, bro. I was just throwing some extra light in there because The Anthony Gordon pick was our Mahomie.
Yeah. Mahomie Gordon. That guy right there is a Patrick Mahomes wannabe. From the way he dresses, from the little rubber band on his right wrist, the way he throws, the way he drifts in the pocket, the way he throws ball away with swag and style and just a little click. He 1000% studies Patrick Mahomes. If anybody's gonna play Patrick Mahomes in a movie, it's gonna be Anthony Gordon, quarterback out of Washington State. You remember I told you that. Vic, you had the 49ers to assess. Shout out to KD, Mr. Kevin French. That's his team. He rides with them. He's been riding with them. And he had the responsibility of picking for them this year. So give me your grade on the San Francisco 49ers, the Super Bowl losing team.
Yeah, shout out to KD, bro. He did a good job here for the 49ers. Some of the weaknesses I feel that they have, I put down DB and wide receiver. Again, very talented roster, both in the offensive line, defensive line. You guys know how I feel about Jimmy. I think he still got a chance, but remains to be seen. They got a good stable of running backs, so they do need help at the outside receiver positions. But here in this draft, KD took 2 defensive backs in the first round in pick 13, where they got from the Colts for the DeForest Buckner trade. He took Jeffrey Okudah. This is a guy that we have graded lower than a lot of other sources. They have him as a top 5 player where they feel like he's gonna, be able to change a franchise. I'm not sure how much we see that, but for him to be able to get Jeffrey at pick 13 in this draft, very good man coverage corner. I know that the defensive coordinator over there for the 49ers uses a mix of both man and zone. Okudah does not have many zone coverage snaps. And then the few snaps that he did, he seemed kind of lost. So those are some of the things that we had against him. But other than that, this kid is a very solid, sticky cover corner, I feel. And then with the 31st pick, they took Grant Delpit, safety out of LSU. This is one of my most favorite players.
Yes, indeed.
This kid right here, I mean, he is great moving forward. Great tackler in the backfield, great tackler in open space. Like I said before, our guy Devin Duvernay gave him a little bit of work, but Grant will get better. He will get stronger. He'll become one of those solid DBs that, safeties that you'll be able to put in the front 7, inside the box, and help your run defense. If they're able to get Jeffrey Okudah and Grant Delpit in the draft, I mean, they solidify that defense even more. Even though they lost Buckner, that secondary will definitely get stronger with these 2 draft picks. So they didn't get a receiver, so I gave them a B for this draft grade.
That's fair. I had the Rams next, and the Rams only had 2 picks because the Rams, once again, were one of those teams that absolutely mortgaged their future for guys that just don't bring too much value to a football team, be it Brandon Cooks, be it Jalen Ramsey. As much as I love Jalen Ramsey, he's just doesn't provide that type of value to your football team. And now here you are with your roster deconstructed, with your salary cap stricken, and you don't have a first-round pick. So shout out to Louis Mingo. He did the best with what he could. He ended up taking Chase Claypool in the 2nd round, and then he took Nick Harris, the center out of Washington. Now, Chase Claypool is a wide receiver, but I'm hearing some talks he might be converted to a tight end. I wasn't crazy about the pick. I would have advised against the pick just because, again, I felt with only a limited amount of draft assets, maximize your value with what you need. Maximize your value as to what could get you your best impact on your football team and contribute from day one. So with that said, I actually liked his 3rd round pick, Nick Harris, center out of Washington, a lot more than the 2nd round pick with Chase Claypool. I think Nick Harris, that's tremendous value. And again, it's a great fit. I don't think Nick Harris is a center made for a gap scheme. I think he's going to a zone scheme that tailors to his strengths, tailors to what he can do well. and that even though his pass protection still needs work, we know one thing: Sean McVay is going to do a pretty good job of protecting him as long as that running game is flowing. So we speak on that. I like the Nick Harris pick. I would have personally liked to see them take either somebody on the defensive line or one of these running backs in the second round to replace the loss of Todd Gurley. So, Louis, you my guy. I'm gonna have to give you a C plus on this one, simply because I really dislike the Chase Claypool pick. But the Nick Harris pick certainly is an excellent, excellent choice. Moving on now, that covers the NFC West. We did the Giants, we did the Redskins. So we're gonna let the always so kind, germ so true, finish off the NFC East with the two most notorious fan bases in professional sports: the Philadelphia Eagles and the Dallas Cowboys. Germ, you are the ultimate villain, my friend. Take it away.
Philly, what are you doing? Philly, what are you doing? First thing, I have no problem with you taking T. Higgins. None. I think Vic converted me to the T. Higgins Mohique, to his little village. He converted me over. He made me see the light. But the one thing is, T. Higgins provides you with an X receiver, a guy who can be a focal point of an offense for a passing attack. You still have Zach Ertz. You still have some pretty good running backs. I actually can honestly say that T. Higgins is enough for me to say we can stop looking at offense for Philadelphia. You know what I mean? I don't think Philadelphia needs a lot of help on offense. They just need Carson Wentz to play better with the football, and they just need Carson Wentz to continue to develop and grow. So with that being said, boom. All right. I like the first pick. So we come back and we take Christian Fulton from LSU. My only issue is you already have notoriously slow-footed corners. Why did you want another one? That man can't flip his hips, turn his hips, dip his hips, do nothing. He ain't got no hips. You ain't got no legs, boy. That's what we're going to call it. You ain't got no legs, boy. So moving forward, what I want to see is in these situations with the picks that we just got, Fulton would have been a better selection maybe in the third round, considering we could have got better value with some other players. We could have took a linebacker that we liked here. We could have also, on top of taking a linebacker that we liked, we could have also fulfilled another need that we have, which is safety, because we no longer have Malcolm Jenkins on our roster. So we could have got a guy, like Kyle Duggar in the second round, which is a perfect time to get a guy like that who can play every position pretty much in the secondary, even play some slot and some nickel situations as well. He's raw, but it gives you better value because of what you just lost. You got to replace the captain of your defense. You can't put a corner there and think that that's going to be good. You got to replace the captain, El Capitan. You got to replace him. Okay. Then we come back and we take KJ Hamler. Now, for this pick alone, I should give you an F. KJ is not a player. This is what you got to understand. KJ is not a player who's going to add value in the return game, in the screen game, and those little small things. But you already have enough receivers right now. You just weren't healthy last year. That was the problem with Philly last year. They just weren't healthy. You can't bring to the table some of these guys that you're bringing up to the table like Hamler's not a winning player. He's just not. He wasn't for Penn State. He never will be. Eagles, shame on you. You get a C. And it's really because you drafted T. Higgins.
I thought it was a great draft.
Yeah, okay, Vic. That's enough of you. Next, we're going to the Cowboys. Cowboys, what are you doing? I'm asking again, what are you doing? So first, we take Kenneth Murray. Listen, the issue with your defense, you already have a captain. You already got Jalen Smith. Jalen is one of those players that we should have kept in the middle of the defense and let him do his thing. You still have Sean Lee coming back. Now I know people say, "Oh, well, Sean Lee is old and we got to replace him." Well, you don't replace him with Kenneth Murray. You got faster, you didn't get stronger. So now I expect for those 5-yard gains to be 10-yard gains. Thanks. We appreciate you here. And look, now Saquon Barkley has somebody he can run around. So so Cowboys, you took Leighton Vander Esch last year to play weak side linebacker. He looks like he has to mature. He has to get stronger. Otherwise, Kenneth Murray cannot do what he does best, which is play weak side linebacker.
Mhm.
I think Kenneth Murray is going to be best suited for weak side linebacker in the NFL. Okay, next we come back and we take Jalen Reagor. Can we please stop looking at speed like it is just the only thing that football is about? I don't care what you over there saying. Yeah, sit back, relax, and enjoy yourself. So Jalen Reagor in this situation, for the value of the pick, we don't need receivers in Dallas. We don't need them. We could have waited till the 3rd round to take a receiver. We got other glaring needs. We lost both of our starting safeties. You lost both of your starting safeties. Byron Jones, even though he played corner, I still say it as one of your starting safety. You lost Jeff Heath. He's no longer going to be with you this year. You lost what other players did you lose this year that you need to be replacing? And we still haven't talked about the fact you lost Travis Frederick, who is the 2nd most important player on your offensive line. We got to get value here, because what Dallas has done notoriously is they've drafted beef very well. Vic, now I see you sitting up a little bit. Now you're perpendicular. Now you like where I'm going with this. You drafted the fat guys pretty well, and that's what has gotten you to where you needed to go. Super Bowl glory years, they had all of the good fat guys. The years that they were going with Zeke and when Zeke was cooking, before Zeke lost some of that explosiveness, is because the fat guys were cooking. You didn't draft any fat guys. Why? Why are there no fat guys here? And you're losing all your good fat guys. I'm a little upset with that. We got to do better than that. You were in the Views from the 22 group. No beef, no Lombardi. And Vic is a part of that with a trap shirt on. He got the trap shirt on. And he did not draft an offensive lineman.
Excuse me.
Crazy.
I was in.
And we took Jalen Johnson.
I was in the war room with this Cowboys contingency, okay? They did a damn good job, all right, throwing names out there. They wanted Jerry Juki, he was unavailable. They wanted C.D. Lamb, he was unavailable. They wanted Javon Kinlaw, he was unavailable. They wanted C.J. Henderson, and we passed up on him. All right. That's but Kenneth Murray will start immediately for the Dallas Cowboys. Leighton Vander Esch, like I told you guys before, is literally on a game-by-game basis right now with his neck injury. That is on Jerry Jones, that Cowboy front office, for making that draft pick when they should have taken Calvin Ridley and called Des Bryant back. But they don't want to do that right now. So that's on that. My guys in that war room, sir. Oh my gosh, bro.
You gonna get that man all riled up, Jerm, talking about the Cowboys.
I see. They still get a C.
Intimidation.
I'm defending my war room.
Still get a C.
I hear you. So what we're gonna do now? We're gonna do the NFC North. We're gonna go Packers. We're gonna go Vic to do the Bears, and then Vic is gonna throw the ball to Jerm So True to do the Vikings. I don't know where Jerm So True just went.
I'm right here. I'm here.
Okay, cool. So the Packers, they took in the 1st round, shout out to Daniel Dunn. He did the Colts. He helped out with the Colts with Pettigrew, and he also took responsibility for the Packers. They took Denzel Mims in the 1st round, a wide receiver out of Baylor. We talked a lot about how much Vic loves this guy. He's 6'3", 207 pounds. In high school, he played quarterback, wide receiver, running back, cornerback, and safety. And he also played all 5 positions on the basketball team. So anytime, anywhere, any sport, any venue, this man is going to play all over the field, all over the court, all over wherever you put him into, he's going to play whatever you need him to do. On tape, he stands out. His size, his speed, his explosion, especially when you combine those things together, it truly looks freakish. The only issues about him is that he dropped about 13% of what PFF said was 140 catchable passes, and he dropped about 13% of those. And also he ran a limited amount of routes, but we'll see in the NFL if that's based on scheme on the limitations of the team, or if that's based on limitations of the player. But I don't think he's going to have any issues on the next level beating press. And I do think this kid is well worth the first round grade. They took Prince Tega Wanogo in the second round and Davon Hamilton in the third round, defensive lineman out of Ohio State. Prince Tega, tackle out of Auburn. Both those guys are very raw, but I certainly understand, and I do like the pick. I think Devon Hamilton is going to come on there from day one and contribute to a team that had a hard time stopping runs between the A's and B gaps. So I'm going to give the Packers a B plus, Daniel Dunn, not because of anything bad, just because Prince and Davon are not my favorite players on this list, but you certainly took Denzel and you certainly found value in places that you needed to improve. So give me a B plus. We're gonna go to Vic and then we're gonna go to Germ. And while I do the little screen share, Vic, the Vikings. I think you had.
No, I got the Bears, Bobby.
Oh, the Bears. I'm sorry. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah. So Germ had to wipe his sweat off earlier. That's why we had to get up. But anyway, and for any Jennings, the Bears. I'm sorry, Leon Williams. Shout out to Leon Williams, man. He didn't have much to work with either in this draft. The Bears, man, they got some weaknesses on this team, specifically quarterback. We all know how that is going for them right now. They also have some weaknesses at the receiver, offensive line, and cornerback. Cornerback DB position is probably not the weakest, but they can add some pieces there. But Leon, again, he did what he can with his draft assets. They had 2 second-round picks. He went with Afereni Jennings, the edge rusher from Alabama. This is a really smooth athlete. You got Khalil Mack, who is playing the strong side strong side outside linebacker, edge rusher position. Afereni is going to be able to play the weak side. This kid, can provide some decent pass rush and help Khalil Mack. So again, if you can't, drafting the best player available, if you can't find somebody to fit a need, then go ahead and help in the pass rush department. The next second round pick, they took a guy that we love a lot, Jeremy Chin, the safety. He is out of a small school. I forgot what school that was, Jerm, if you
Southern Illinois.
Southern Illinois. This is a kid that can line up right next to Eddie Jackson as a strong safety. Very, very solid safety as well. Another kid that can come downhill, tackles very well, speed and very explosive. He is not afraid to hit people. They will be scared to come to his area, whether you're a running back or a wide receiver. This kid is a very, very impressive specimen. So they improved the defense in this draft. Leon Williams, like I said, man, there's not much he was able to work with. I give him a B for his draft grade.
So, Vikings. Might as well just keep that up. Vikings. We come back and we take Brandon Ayuk. I'm not upset that you took Brandon Ayuk. I just think for the first round pick, you can get better value considering, I need to look at the Vikings are that team that you look at them, you got the Arby's commercial and they say, we have the meat. These folks have no beef. Like they literally have no meat. They got to do something. So in this situation, pause. So what I want to see in this situation is I wanted to see you take an offensive lineman or at least attempt to try to find some guys for you to be able to use in your running scheme. Because I'm gonna give you a perfect example. A guy that wouldn't be a reach in this situation would have been Austin Jackson out of USC. He would have been perfect to put on the opposite end of Brandon O'Neal. And now you got 2 agile tackles that you can use in your zone running scheme. That would have been perfect. But you took a receiver trying to hurry up and replace a guy that this is a draft that we have plenty of actual depth at this position. Next, we took AJ Epenza out of Iowa. Epenza, Esperanza, Epananda, Lila Balamba. Anyway, um, he's a guy who can play some strong side edge for you. So on the left side of the formation, he's just not as explosive as we may want him to be. He doesn't have the short area quickness that we would want him to have, but he's a damn good player in that Viking sister situation. I'm gonna say something that I've never said to these gentlemen. He could have a Jared Allen type of effect for that Vikings front seven, where he could be a solid player. He may not ever be the most explosive, but he can be a damn good complementary rusher to some guys like Daniil Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
You know, moving forward, I seen we took Antoine Whitfield Jr., the safety out of Minnesota. I think he's an exceptional player.
Definitely.
I think you get first of all, it's a bloodline pick. So it's just like the Clay Matthews trying to get him to go to the Browns. I think that's an exceptional pick. You get a guy who can play some safety and also come down and play some nickel corner. It gives you some versatility in your secondary, and you need that in this NFL, especially in this division that you play in. You play against Matt Stafford, Aaron Rodgers, and that's about it. Mm-hmm. So you got to make sure that we highlight the fact that you got two good positions there. You come back and you draft a guard, Jonah Jackson out of Ohio State. That's actually not a bad pick. It's just I want to see more beef here. That's the only thing. Where's the beef? Where's the beef? Can I get some beef?
Yeah. So what's the grade you gave him?
I gave him a C+. You also the last player that they took was Javelin Guidry out of Utah. He's strictly a slot corner. So why I'm giving these guys a C+? You drafted a slot corner and then you just took the slot corner out of the equation because Winfield is never going to lead the field.
Right.
So it kind of contradicts itself in some way because you're not going to probably see Guidry until your dime package or your dollar package, as they call it.
Right.
So moving forward, I just think overall a C+ grade because you got some good players, especially with the pass rusher and the safety. Those are two great picks, but Aiyuk is not the player I think that fits this scheme the best. I think we could have
Aiyuk. Yeah. I mean, I hear you. So we're going to move on now to we're going to finish off the AFC West. We have the Chiefs and we have the Broncos.
The Broncos.
So that'll be me and you, Germ. First of all, the Chiefs took the Super Bowl champions. Shout out to them. Shout out to Joshua Lamar Jackson. And I also think
I drafted for him as well.
Yeah, I think he drafted for them as well. That's right, Germ. So you took Austin Jackson in the first round. I'm not a big fan of this kid. He's a tackle out of USC. I think he's raw. I think his technique needs some serious tooling, but he's got some quick feet. And if you got quick feet, it's a lot easier to coach your upper body if your lower body knows what it's doing. So I think there's a lot of optimism to be had with this kid, and certainly somebody who can replace Eric Fisher, rather hopefully sooner rather than later. So again, I'm not a fan, just a preference thing, I guess. But he's a player that can certainly be a left tackle for you. And we know with Mahomes and with Andy Reid and with that system, your first couple years could get masked while you're still developing. They followed that up. They took Noah Igbenegene, cornerback out of Auburn, and they took Malcolm Roach, a defensive lineman. So I guess they're taking depth. I don't mind the Malcolm Roach pick, similar to how with the Rams, I actually like their third round pick better than their second round pick. I don't think Noah Igbenegene is a good pick for the Chiefs. I don't think he's a good fit there. The Chiefs want to play man. They want to be in your face. They're going to mix in some zone, obviously. But the Chiefs, in my opinion, I would consider them to be a primarily man coverage team. And I just think he's much more suitable for a zone scheme at the moment. Everything needs to be better from this kid overall, but he has flashes in spurts. And I think his speed and his physicality is what mostly makes him intriguing. Again, I'm going to give them a C+ on this, not because of anything bad necessarily. I just don't like the Noah pick. I thought you could have gotten some better value there. And we'll see how the Malcolm Roach kid, maybe a C+ is a little harsh, but that's just where I'm going with for that. Nonetheless, you are the defending champion. So right now we're gonna move on to the Broncos, and Germ had that, and we're gonna do that for my boy KG, a loyal
KG, my God, KG.
participant.
KG, you've been in the views from the 22 lab a little bit there, Chief.
Mhm,
You've been in the views from the 22
mhm. They
lab.
had a real good draft.
Yeah, I mean, he started off with CD Lamb chops. I like that. See, you almost won the draft when you did that.
Hmm.
You got him. That's a good player. But you come back and you get Lucas Nang. Now, Mo, can you do me a favor?
You
Can you share the second round for me real quick? I want to
got
say
you.
something really quick because I want to highlight something for KG here. Lucas Nang is a good player. The only issue that we have with Lucas is a little wild and a little out of control. Okay. So, and you also got Trayvon Diggs here in the second round as well, as we see here. But let me see. Where is he at? Where is he at?
You sure it
Is
wasn't
he,
a third round pick?
was that a third round pick?
Nah, I think it was.
It was a third round pick then. 2 third-round picks. Or 3. Looks like 3.
There it is, 13th overall in the fourth round, in the third round.
Now, seeing that you got him there, I think overall, the things that I wanted to see from the Broncos more than anything in this class is I wanted to see you put yourself in a better position. Now, taking Diggs and then CeeDee Lamb, you did get 2 of the better players at their positions in the draft. You got, in my opinion, the best receiver, but also on top of getting the best receiver, you got one of the 3, 4 best corners. Because I think we all here in views agree that Diggs has some tremendous upside, especially with that big body and his ball skills. Nang has to get a little bit better with certain things. I see Ezra Cleveland being taken that many picks behind him. I think Cleveland would have been a better thing, and Garrett Bowles, in my opinion, could be a dominant right tackle in this NFL with his ability to pass protect. But I like him a little bit better against the run. So I think you could have solidified your offensive line a little bit better by taking Ezra Cleveland there, but we won't go too deep into that. You have very good depth on the defensive line, so you add another guy for the rotation with Jordan Elliott. That's a pretty good thing. You do have, this is the most important pick that you made. Kyle Duggar, the kid that you picked from the small school. I really think that Kyle Duggar is the perfect complementary player to Simmons. He gives you a guy who can play and line up all over the field. He can even play some single high, which Simmons is not as good playing single high. So you can allow Simmons to be himself and play a little bit more in the box and those type of things. So overall, KG, I like all of your picks majority. Think we could have got a little better value in to those two of those picks there, but you still get a B plus because you took the best receiver on the board and one of the 5 best safeties in the class that has some of the most upside. You also got some beef and you got a good corner that will also help you in that scheme that you guys are running over there. So B plus for the Broncos.
All right. So moving on next, let us finish off the AFC East. And we're gonna go to the Bills and the Pats. Vic, we start with you. You had the Patriots. Drafting for the Patriots was yours truly. And Chris Ransom also as well made the last pick of the third round for us. So give me a grade on the former dynasty.
Yeah, we had our guy Mo Schefter, the die-hard Patriots fan. Die hard.
He died hard too.
Never will never. Yeah, man. I listen,
Oh man.
I don't hate people. I don't pray for downfall of anybody, but I have to see the Patriots go down. Okay. And it's not because of Tom and those guys, but it's because of how much Bill Belichick is pushed as the greatest GM, because he is a great coach. All right, let's put that out there. Is he a great GM? Very mediocre to me. The quarterback position, like we talk about in views, if you disagree with it, that's fine. Quarterback position is the most important position. That is the weakness that now the Patriots have. But in the first round, we got Mo took here Justin Jefferson, wide receiver out of LSU. This kid is one of Germ's favorite receivers. Very, very impressive receiver. He led the nation in catches. He did play the slot position most of his snaps for Joe Burrow and the LSU offense. That is a position where you will get a lot of work. The targets are a lot closer to the quarterback, and when you have an accurate quarterback like Joe Burrow, that was just pitch and catch between these two guys. The kid is impressive with his routes, impressive with his catching, and impressive with catching in traffic. This kid reminds me a lot of Chris Godwin, who Tom Brady will have the benefits of throwing to now. Chris Godwin, again, guys that are very physical and can catch in a lot of traffic like there is in the middle of the field. So solid pick there. In the third, they have no second round pick. So in the third round, they took Julian Akra. He is the edge defender from Notre Dame. This is another versatile kid that can play down, that he can play outside in the 3-4. Bill Belichick will love this kid. He's got some good speed, and he seems to be and also another very intelligent player. So again, the diehard Patriots fan, Mo, he knows exactly what Bill likes. The Jacob Eason pick, this one is a little, we like Jacob. We think that he has a chance to be a really good quarterback. There is some issues with him. I'm not sure what offense the Patriots will run now. Let's make it clear. The EMP offense is a very sophisticated offense. Not many people can run it, specifically because they don't have the personnel. The quarterback is a very important piece to the EMP system. This is a system that runs a lot of option routes, meaning that the outside receivers might have some options. The running backs will have some options. Therefore, the quarterback has to be able to know which of those option routes that they may have to run. So who knows what offense the Patriots will now run without Tom Brady. But Jacob Eason, I'm not sure if that's an offense for him. Again, not any quarterback will fit that offense. This is a kid that also drifts a lot in the pocket backwards, which means that if he gets a 3, 5, or 7-step drop, he is still drifting backwards. Kind of looks like what you see in Madden, where the quarterback will be 20 yards in the backfield and get sacked because the tackles can only cover so much space.
Right.
So it just seems like he gets a lot of pressure because he doesn't comfortably hitch back into the pocket and throws. But when he does do that, this kid's arm is just strong. He is able to throw it in some tight windows. He has turned over the ball with some of his decisions. So he is a project, but I think his upside is very high. So for the Patriots, I give them a B+ for their draft grade.
We got the Bills. And the Bills was Kevin Watson. Shout out to Kev Watson. He had only 2 picks in the top 100 players. And that's because they traded their first round pick for Stephon Diggs. So essentially, they took Stephon Diggs in the first round. They took Laviska Shenault, wide receiver out of Colorado. 1 second. I'm getting a little message here. I had to get that out the way before it interrupted the live. He's a wide receiver out of Colorado. He might be a guy that gets converted to a running back, honestly, on the next level. He isn't really sharp in his wide receiver skills, can't really win on the outside, has a hard time finding zones, limited in his route trees. What he can do is if you get him the ball in his hands, he's going to get you some yards, be it flat routes, screens, things of that nature. So perhaps he can develop into a running back. Perhaps he's just going to be strictly a toy, as Germ calls him. I truly despise everything that and Kev is my boy, but I dislike this draft. And I'm gonna give Mr. Kevin Watson same way that Germ punished Vic. I'm going to punish Kevin for what they did in real life, trading Stephon Diggs or acquiring Stephon Diggs rather for a first-round pick. So, Kev, hope this doesn't affect our friendship, my man. It's just views business. I am giving the Buffalo Bills a F on their mock draft because I did not like the picks or the value of anything they did. I'm sorry, Kev. Now, granted, Kev, I'm gonna say this though. He did his work, and he must have sent me and Vic a board each day that had about 10 to 12 players on it. And every time his name came up, it was about the 11th person that he named that was listed on that board. So I can't blame him, just the way the board fell. But because of the circumstances, that is probably the one drafting that I did not care for very much. Moving on now, we're gonna get Germ So True back in the fold. We are gonna talk some AFC North. I certainly hope Miss Tanya is here. We are going to talk about the Ravens, and we are going to talk about the Steelers. So, Germ, take it away with the Ravens first and foremost, my man.
Dear Dennis King.
Oh yeah, shout out to D King, baby.
We started off really good, Dennis. We did, man. We started off with Ben Bredesen, man. You know, Mr. Bredesen, I think he's one of the better guards in this draft. I think he's a guy who he'll be able to play in just about any system. I think he's strong enough. I think he's agile enough and all those things. Then we came back and we said we needed a linebacker because the one thing that we weren't doing very well is we don't have any linebackers in Baltimore because we like to pay running backs. I mean, quarterbacks. So the issue here is we took Malik. Malik may not be an every down linebacker because I don't know if he has the speed to be able to cover those edges and get from sideline to sideline. He's a really, really instinctual player. I mean, he's a battering ram. He is literally one of the best players when it comes to playing against the run in this class at linebacker. And me, Vic, and Mo, when we watched this kid's film, we were all saying 39 is one guy that I do not want to get hit by. And I think we all can agree on that part of it. So the next thing here is we come back with wide receiver and we took Tyler Johnson. Mr. King, you asked me, who should you take? I told you Duvernay was on the board because Duvernay would fit your scheme better. You took Tyler Johnson. Now, Tyler is a good player because I advocate for Tyler, but Devin fits your scheme better because of the multiple places he can line up. Tyler's not going to line up a lot at the Z position. He's going to exclusively line up in the slot because that's the place that he feels the most comfortable. While Devin can line up at any point in any stretch and anywhere in the formation, from the backfield with Lamar Jackson, and we can do some dipsy doos and all types of great running things, and he, woo-wee, and we can run. But it's just more than anything, you got to get players that fit your scheme and fit what your talent is. So Tyler Johnson was not a good fit for what you guys do. That's number one. Curtis Weaver. Weaver's a good player. The problem is he may be a guy who fits the same role that you have for Matt Judon. Judon is a C+, B- player. Can he get better? Can he evolve into a B+ player? Yeah. A+ player? In the words of Donald Trump, no. So that's where we got to go with those situations. I don't think that Curtis Weaver is a terrible pick, but he was not probably the better edge guy to pick in that situation. We finished the draft by taking Thaddeus Moss, the tight end, from LSU, the tight end and the son of the great Randall Moss. He is an A+ blocker. He is really nasty at that. It's just when he runs, it's something we were talking about. When he runs, it's like the turtle race. Like when Eminem was on 8 Mile and he was like, "This the turtle race." Like that. That's literally Thaddeus Moss. Like it's not good. Like spitting this side of the shock and the shock lickety. Like that. Like it's not good. So he needs to get there lickety split. He gets there like
he gets good body control though. Very good body control. He's just lackadaisical in his route.
When you watch him run, just think of TLC. So why creep?
Oh my God, yo, this dude.
Just think of that. So Ravens, Mr. King, because you creeped up and you took Tyler Johnson behind my back after I did all that work to tell you what the
Just being mean.
C plus.
Oh my God. You gonna give that man a C plus?
Such negative energy, man.
You gonna give Dennis of all people a C plus?
Yeah, he told me he was ready for it.
Golly.
I wish I had more paper to throw.
So we're gonna move on now. We're gonna talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Pittsburgh Steelers are in a position to really take back control of that division with Big Ben coming back, with that defense that's absolutely rolling. Their biggest, believe it or not, and people again, we're gonna bring this up all the time. We told the Steelers trade AB, keep Le'Veon Bell. Well, now they lost Ramon Foster, and if you ask me, Ramon Foster's loss is a bigger impact on this football team than Antonio Brown. Tanya Rogers lost in Boston, and Antoinette, Tony Khan, shout out to y'all. They were the GMs for this. We kind of wanted to go around the horn, fellas. I know it's getting late, so let's go rapid fire from here on out. Let's go around the horn on the Steelers. Jerm, we'll start with you. They took J.K. Dobbins, running back, and then they took Matt Hennessy, offensive lineman. I'm gonna tell you this: they took Matt Hennessy purely off of the fact that they wanted to buy a jersey that said Hennessy on it.
Okay.
Jerm, you take it away, sir. You let me know. J.K. Dobbins and Matt Hennessy.
So Tanya, baby girl, got some questions. So when you took J.K. Dobbins, since when do Pittsburgh Steelers like Ohio State players? Just asking for myself. I know you took Shazier years ago, but when did we do that? I don't understand. I mean, I know you don't like your running backs because we talked about James Conner before, and we all can agree James Conner is he kind of slaw, cold slaw. He ain't good, and he's not the answer. But I just want to know, like, when you took Ohio State players, I just thought y'all would, But anyway, so with that being said, then after that we took Hennessy. I'm confused as to why we took Hennessy so early because you don't need anybody to replace Pouncey right now. Pouncey is cool right now. If you're gonna replace him, you got to replace him with a good player. You can't just bring a dude with a drink name, like, you know what I'm saying, like, oh, Sack given up by Hennessy. You're like, what? That's like sound like a sponsor. The Sack was sponsored by Hennessy. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? I mean, I'm just asking. Pittsburgh. I'm just gonna let them take it.
Vic, give me your thoughts.
Listen, bro. I think it was solid.
Okay.
That's it. I think it was solid. I mean, they're adding a lot of good pieces to an already good roster. I mean, with Minka and all those guys. I mean, listen, bro. I think it was a solid grade. So, Jerm being petty right now with the Eagles, it was good. The Cowboys draft was good. I ain't gonna say no more.
Hey, Vic, don't throw your back out.
Hey, I mean, listen. I'm trying to figure out because Hennessy is 6'4", 307, right? So perhaps the mentality was that they draft him to be the replacement for Ramon Foster. We'll see how it goes, but I certainly think Pittsburgh. I hope Tanya and Tony don't get mad at me for this. I like the J.K. Dobbins pick. I think he's a guy. He there's some things that'll translate well.
I think he's a 3-down back.
What's that?
I think he's a 3-down back to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some things that'll translate well on the next level. His ball carrier vision is good. He stays close to the ground, and he can catch, which is very important. And he can also probably hold on to the ball a little better than James Conner. The only thing I will say is, if Pittsburgh truly wants to take a running back in the second round, then what you do is swallow your pride, call New York, and say, hey, I want my Boo back. I want my Beltran back. Whatever I got to say, whatever I got to do, if I got to pick him up at the Pittsburgh airport with an Uber Black, with roses and chocolates and whatever the hell else he wants, I'm willing to do it. So if Pittsburgh's going to take a running back in the second round, you may as well call New York and see if they give up Le'Veon Bell for a second round pick. Because if they do get Le'Veon Bell with Ben Roethlisberger and my favorite defensive unit in the NFL, led by T.J. Watt and Minka Fitzpatrick and Bud, I finally got some muscle on me, Dupree, it could be hell in Pittsburgh. They could refill that ketchup bottle in 2 off seasons if they play this one properly. That's right. Shout out to 2019, a much better time,
There you go.
as we remember, than 2020. But we appreciate y'all rocking with us. We're on rapid fire mode now. We're gonna close it out soonly and surely. We are got left the
Hey man, shout out to Tanya because she said earlier that I wouldn't argue with her. So I told her we was gonna debate. So there was our debate.
We're gonna find a way to get her on here. Because I promise you, if they all debate, my money's on Tanya. I'm just letting you know right now, you my boy. But if we all debate, my money is on Miss Crimson Tide.
Hey, you can take the Crimson Tide. I mean, she just like a quarterback, just all over the place, you know.
Tanya, if you got Zoom, let me know. We will get you on here right now, and I will allow you to virtually go toe to toe right here with his.
Oh, that's funny. Hey.
But now, on some seriousness, let's finish it off. We got
all of the smoke.
Did we cover everybody yet? We saved the best for last, I guess, right, fellas?
I think we didn't get to the Falcons, bro.
Oh yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. That's right. The best for last. That's right. So we're going to do now the NFC South. We got the Saints. We got the Falcons. The Falcons,
and the Saints,
and obviously the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So Vic, you had the Falcons and the Saints, sir. So rapid fire, my man. Close it out before we go to the Bucks.
Real quick, shout out to Pi.
Wait, yeah. Pi Simmons was the Falcons GM. Okay. Shout out to Pi, another support of our movement. Real quick, in the first round, they took K'Lavon Chaisson. He's an edge defender for LSU. Very, very solid speed edge defender that we liked. He has some real natural bend. This is a guy that can play some down and can play standing up, kind of like the the role that the previous strong side linebacker that I'm catching.
Vic Beasley,
yes. Kind of like the role that Vic Beasley played for the Falcons. I think that he can take. In the third round, they took, actually in the second round, they took Jonathan Greenard. This is a guy that can play some defensive line, as in the down lineman, some defensive tackle, some defensive end. So Pi took some guys that's going to bring some versatility to the front seven for the Falcons, and Bryce Hall in the secondary to provide some more depth. So I give them an A-. Some very, very solid depth. They already have a solid roster. My question will always remain, what's going to happen with Matt Ryan? They're going to need to start finding a replacement because I'm over that guy. In between the 20s, he's great. In the red zone, he's god-awful.
Mm-hmm.
Julio Jones should have about 15 touchdowns a year. So I'm going to leave the Falcons alone.
That could work. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Say that again?
Nothing.
Hey, listen, y'all know me. I only criticize the front offices, the coaching, and quarterbacks. They are all equally responsible for what happens on the football field.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, let's go to the Saints. We got Janet Justice. I apologize. I am not familiar with this person, but shout out to her for taking up the Saints GM responsibilities. In the first round, they got Tua Tagovailoa, is I think how they pronounce it. We're not big fans of Tua. We have our reasons why. That stuff will come up in the future. I don't want to spend too much time talking about Tua because it will take forever. We have seen some Drew Brees comparisons on Tua. I don't know how. I don't know why. Could it be that it took time for Drew to develop? Maybe. But again, we'll leave Tua for another day. They took Brian Edwards, receiver out of Carolina, in the third round. This kid, I love. Another receiver I love. Very solid X receiver. Very high catch point. catching traffic again. A lot of these kids are very physical in this draft, and the receiving class is going to be very impressive. I do give Janet and the Saints contingency a C for their grade. They didn't have many draft picks to work with.
Mhm.
They also took Tua, so I'll give them a C for their grade.
You know, as I mentioned earlier, as I mentioned a couple of days ago on the live, if I was a GM of an NFL football team, I would flat out tell my guys, "Hey, this guy is not on our board. I don't view him as a draftable quarterback," and that's just how I feel about it. Now, we the people have all signed 2-year contracts with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We did save them for last, because we all wanted to give in our input. I think when we talked about it, we talked about how we want the GOAT. We're not gonna shy away from it no more. We're gonna cram it in your brains. We wanted the GOAT to finish off his career strong. And in order for do that, we felt like they needed to add depth and weight, literally weight, to their offensive line. So when we were talking about it, we decided we should go beef twice at some point during the draft. We weren't sure if it was going to be first and second, first and third, or even second and third, but it was more than likely going to be first and second. We kept talking about it, and said, well, hey, they only got Ronald Jones now. You know, they like running back by committee with Brady. You know, Brady needs a running back that can catch the football. So maybe they go with running back at 45, and then we can find some value at beef in the third round. I think if you look at the way we drafted it, we took DeAndre Swift, we took Lloyd Cushenberry. So we took DeAndre Swift in the second round, and we took Lloyd Cushenberry in the third round. But in the first round, and Germ exclusively made this pick, we took Josh Jones, the tackle. So we got two beef and a pass catching running back, possibly the best pass catching running back, not only in this draft, but one of the best to come out in the last couple of years as a pass catcher from the running back position. He can run different routes even as well. He can line up outside, line up in the slot. So I think this would be a kid that's a perfect fit for Tom Brady. I wanted to start with with Germ, but I guess Tanya got some pull with some internet people in Ohio, because Germ was all of a sudden disappeared. So we're gonna start with you, Vic. Give me your thoughts.
So the Josh Jones first. I mean, again, another very athletic left tackle. He's gonna fit that type of tackle that Bruce Arians likes. That agile tackle that they can run a lot of outside zone. He likes to use his tackles to go out out in space in some pull assignments. He also likes to throw a few screens here and there. So Josh Jones would be an impressive tackle for them. And like Mo said, DeAndre Swift, very solid. Another agile pass catching running back that Bruce Arians is looking for. Another solid pick. I mean, that would be big solid pickups for Tom Brady in the Tampa Bay Bucks offense.
Absolutely, Germ. We got you back. Give us your thoughts on those picks: Josh Jones, DeAndre Swift, and Lloyd Cushenberry.
First thing is, when things like this happen to me, I don't panic. You know what I do? I just hit the mouse a couple of times. So, yeah. So we got Josh Jones. I'm really happy about this pick because we need somebody on the left side in general. We got to get somebody on there because Donovan Smith is not the answer. That's just how it goes. I think we all agree on that. We need to do something better on the left side. I'm not a fan of Swift. I think Swift is a little bit of a pick that I wouldn't have made personally myself. But when you got two other people that's standing up on the table and they almost breaking the table and stuff because two people standing on the table and you just standing there looking at them, I started to flip it over. But then I just said, you know what? These are my guys. I'm gonna let them have it. We're gonna go roll with Swift. But Swift is not a terrible player. He may fit. I believe that what my guys here are saying is they believe Swift may be a better fit long term for what Bruce Arians likes to do, and that's possible. It's not far out of the stretch of the possibilities. And then the third pick was who? It was
Lloyd
Cushenberry.
Cushenberry.
That's your
And Cushenberry gives us another guy that we can give for a guard alternative or a center alternative. Jensen can be moved around. We can if he can play center, most times he can play guard. So, those are some good picks there. I think this helps improve the team. And then we happen to just get Gronk back. So, hey, it just things like this just happen, Stars are aligning, baby.
So that about wraps it up. I'm gonna put y'all on the spot real quick with some rapid fire questions. Vic, give me who you think had the best draft. Let's say out of the ones you did. Let's just keep it there. Out of the ones you did, which one was your favorite?
yeah,
Out
I
of the
mean,
ones you graded. So you graded the Lions, the Dolphins, the Cardinals, the Browns, the Colts, the 49ers, the Falcons, the Patriots, the Saints, and the Chicago Bears. Who do you think had the best draft in our mock
Yeah,
out of all those contingencies, sir?
like I said, the Dolphins had the edge, bro. They had the most picks, and they did an impressive job with those picks. I gave them an A plus. I mean, when you got 3 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, I mean, you can't blow that. So it's gonna be interesting to see what the real Dolphins front office does. And I gave also the Browns A. So I mean, I
Pick
think
one. Just give me one.
Huh?
Just give me one.
Okay, my
one.
bad. I'll stay with the Dolphins, man. Just
All right.
all the way around.
Germ, pick one, brother. You had the Bengals, the Giants.
Give me the Bengals, because the Bengals feel they got the 2 captains that they needed on offense and defense, and then they got some beef. Joe Burrow could take them from worst to first next year, honestly, in that division. I mean, they got good pieces on defense. They still got Jesse Bates. They still got a lot of those other good players. I really, really, really like that draft. I think that if the Bengals do anything similar to what Storms did, I think we're going to get a good AFC North battle, because all 4 of those teams next year should be around 500 at least, at the very least, and they should whoop up on each other.
So I had the Redskins, the Chargers, the Panthers, Seahawks, the Titans, the Packers, the Chiefs, the Rams, and the Bills. I think we got a question here on the live. Okay, yeah. So if I had to pick one person, to be honest with you, I think it's an easy one. I do like what the Titans did, certainly. But to me, it was Tanya and the Chargers with the Jordan Love, the Shane Lemieux, and then the AJ Terrell, all guys that I think are going to start, all guys that I think could be franchise players, and just tremendous value adding players of need at positions that are lacking depth and talent. So give me Tanya from the grades that I picked as giving the highest score. First question we have on the board is from Jorge, none of your biz. Out of all the guys we named, give me one player. Jerm, I'll start with you. Rookie of the year.
It's probably going to be Joe Burrow.
Wow, really?
I think he plays the position that is going to be most contingent on Cincinnati's success.
Mm-hmm.
If he's on the field, there is no way that Cincinnati doesn't at least compete for a playoff spot.
Mm-hmm.
And if they get in the playoffs, bro, he has to be rookie of the year. It can't really be, bro. You just went from picking number 1 overall to the back end of the first round. Like, that has to equate to something.
Mm-hmm.
Only way Chase Young can win this is if he has to have 16 sacks and he has to be the most dominant defensive player in the league on the defensive side of the ball as a rookie. It's not very many guys, and Isaiah Simmons has a chance, but I don't think he has a chance with the Giants, because I think the Giants are still 3 or 4 years away from being good.
Vic?
I'm sorry. What was the question, sir? I was looking at I was looking at our feed on YouTube. What was the question?
Rookie of the year.
Oh, rookie, bro, I gotta go with Joe Burrow, dog. Is there's an AFC and NFC?
No, just pick one player.
Okay, yeah, I gotta go with Joe Burrow, bro, because I think he's gonna have the weapons in the Bengals. They're not gonna have the same kind of weapons in the LSU, but the Bengals, he'll be able to, at least with AJ Green and those guys, he might be able to start immediately. So give me Joe Burrow on that one.
I mean, I think I've been on the record with this. I don't think Joe Burrow is going to win Rookie of the Year. I think he's going to have some slight struggles in his rookie season, but all the great ones do. I'm going to go defense, and I'm going to take Isaiah Simmons. I think he has a chance to lead the league in tackles, and he might even lead the league in some forced fumbles and tackles for loss as well. So give me Isaiah Simmons no matter where he goes as my Rookie of the Year candidate. I don't think we have any more best value pick of the whole draft. That is a tough question. I'm gonna tell you this. Hey, Storms. Hey, Storms, I'm gonna say it like this. I would probably go with
Oh my God, the shade. Oh my God, the shade.
I'm sorry, I couldn't help it. I maybe yo, excuse me. I'm not trying to be so nice to Jorge. But Cesar Ruiz in the second round, that's some pretty good value. But looking at this board, out of the way our draft fell, I would say the best pick went to the Titans with Neville Gallimore late in the second round, and then Ezra Cleveland late in the third round. So I would go Titans with those two picks. Vic, anybody? Germ?
There's two guys here that probably can become the best in their class. And I know Germ is going to disagree with me with one of them. Actually, I'm going to go with three. Xavier McKinney
Okay.
might just be a first round type of talent when it's all said and done. I'm going to go with, where was the other guy? Trayvon Diggs. Stephon
Okay.
Diggs' little brother.
Mhm.
Could easily become one of the best man cover corners in this class. And DeAndre Swift with Tom Brady for 2 years and be able to learn from that type of environment, that type of system, can easily be a steal in the second round as well.
Mr. Germ?
Most so shady, he should work for Aftermath. So moving forward,
Yo,
man, that's funny, man. So Vic, I don't necessarily disagree.
value pick,
Value?
bro. Yeah, best
When we're
value.
talking value, I like Hakeem Davis Gaither for Cincinnati. A second round linebacker, that's like a Bobby Wagner effect. You put a guy like that in the middle of your defense, and it changes the whole culture around, because it gives you a guy that's gonna play every down and play every down consistently very well.
He got drafted right where we thought he should get drafted.
Vic,
What are you talking about?
I just want you to understand something.
Is he
When the Cowboys decide,
is he gonna end his career as a top 10 player that 5 years from now we should say he should have been drafted in the top 10?
sure, he could be a first round player.
Who you talking about, Germ? Oh,
The
Gaither?
linebacker from the linebacker from Appalachian State.
Yeah,
Who was the first pick
The
in
one
the
that's better than Pat Queen, the one that was drafted way too early. So anyway, another player, and I'm gonna name an offensive player too. A player what I think with extremely good value was, I think Duvernay for Cleveland was another very, very good value pick. Even though it was made by me, no, not even being funny, I think Duvernay adds another dimension to an offense because he's able to play
There you
and
go.
behind the line of scrimmage. He's able to play outside the numbers. He can play in the slot. And you can also move Jarvis Landry around now a lot more. And even with Odell. So you get three very, very quick and explosive players with Baker, with an improved offensive line. That's going to be a problem. So,
There you go. That's value right there, because he could have easily been picked in the top of the second round. Not somebody in the top of the second round that got drafted in the top of the second round.
guess what? He's
Let's
better
go.
than Pat Queen.
Yo, Call of Duty Warzone is calling me, man.
First of all, you're probably not even good at Call of Duty.
Hey,
Every time he's called to duty, he's always on call of
Well,
duty.
listen,
I dropped the film on Petty Gaming Sports. Shout out to that. Shout out to the Petty whole tree because we got branches everywhere, bro.
well, that is very, 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 very
Hey
true.
man, this
So,
the most energy I've ever seen Vic with at 11 o'clock. So I just want y'all to know he is officially the old man out of the bunch. He's sitting over here with his arms flailing and stuff, looking like a Spider-Man and the Spider-Man, Spider-Vic, Spider-Vic.
Shout out to
Does
the old.
whatever a Spider-Vic
This was
does.
when being a Cowboy fan felt good, okay? You know what I'm saying?
you know, it's just
The shit was real right here.
boo this man, boo.
Hey, that's why he still ain't seen Major League, the first one.
I don't think you see. Have you seen The Sandlot?
Yeah, I seen the Sandlot.
Have you seen Rookie of the Year?
Rookie of the Year?
Have you seen C Spot Run? Hey, I don't give a. That was my favorite movie growing up. I don't know where that came from. I was trying to think of a dog movie. I thought of Air Bud, but it came out C Spot Run. That's my bad. Hey, this show. That's it. We're gonna leave it on a high note, man. We're gonna leave it there. Yo, God bless y'all. Stay safe. Wash your hands. Do what you gotta do. Protect yourselves. We will get through this one day at a time. If you need guidance, if you need help throughout the days, getting through these long days, my inbox is open. My phone number is on the Views from the 22 website. And as always, we have Views from the 22. We have 94 Feet of Life. We have Petty in the Outfield. We have Fight Threads. We have the Petty Gaming Group. So we got Stoppage Time FC. We got the Petty Sports Network itself as well. We can't forget that. And then we got a secret group that you can only know about if you in one of the branches of the groups. But if you need some help getting throughout the day, go on Facebook, find one of our groups and find one of our pages and add us, and we'll get you dialed into the network. And I promise you, your days will be a lot smoother and hopefully get by a little better. Again, wash your hands, be safe. Shout out to everybody in the front line. Shout out to you. Shout out to everybody who participated. Shout out to Germ. Shout out to Vic. Shout out to the whole crew. We love y'all. Take us home, True.
Real quick, just one thing. That man asked, did you see C Spot Run? I'm still destroyed. I'm destroyed. I'm destroyed. I can't breathe. Listen, y'all. I just want y'all to know 2-2. I just want y'all to 2-2. 22.
Yes, sir. We out.
Oh man.